Welcome to episode 77, SmartB Sports Update. We got Mitch here again. Go over the origin, and then we got some questions from our fans to ask. Pearcey got a lot of questions on Instagram. None of them
bad ones, I could imagine.
None of them too bad.
Hit and miss, I reckon.
But everyone, it's like, actually, I always say it's surprising. Like, it sounds bad to say surprising, but it's surprising how many people fully. Every question was backed up by a good comment about how much they love you and stuff.
That's
so that was good. So I got some of them to give you as well. I've got to read them out.
All love.
Guys telling me that you writing in that you were their favourite player of all time and watching you play and stuff. So
nice.
There wasn't too many bad ones or anything. Some of them I had to reject because people are dickheads on them.
That's life, isn't it?
There was a couple of deletes, but fuck them. But Origin, we were just talking about Origin and we realised we have to start. Both teams were named.
Yep.
Game is next week. What do you think of the teams?
Yeah, I think obviously Queensland are going for a bit more of a consistent squad to what they've had before, minus Munster. Obviously the big out for them, which is a huge loss. Probably one of the best game players of all time. Yeah. But New South Wales has been shaken up big time. Obviously the champion at fullbacks been pushed out, which is obviously a huge call everyone's talking about. I've got two sides to the story with that. I don't think Teddy deserved to be dropped. I think having his leadership there and his experience and still what he's doing on the field would have been beneficial, but I can also understand Dylan Edwards more than deserves his spot as well.
Yeah.
And then I think also the pack, I think Isaiah Yeo off the bench is a bit of a strange one for me. He's the best lock in the game, one of the best locks of the generation, and without Nathan there, the way he can manipulate defence, I reckon he gives us a bit of a different layer. Once again, though, McGuinness obviously has earned his right and plays a different style, a tough style. So,
when everybody got injured, just so many injuries. Most people on the internet everywhere, like you, me, Dan had McInnes on the bench.
Yeah. That
was kind of the expectation. But then they're dropping him a lock. Do you think there's much to the fact that there isn't any utility? There's no cover. Last year, I can't remember who went down. It was Tom Trbojevic went down. Damien Cook had to go to centre.
Yeah.
Like, what if that happens again?
Yeah, well, that's what Queensland got the jump on us there with Cobber off the bench.
Yeah,
going for an outside back, which is a bit unique. But obviously Billy, he's a smart man, and he's obviously covering that outside back position where we haven't got that covered, have we?
No.
It's a tricky one. It's reinventing the game a little bit, isn't it? Really, what Billy's done. It's very interesting because you don't normally see in a big game. It'd be good to go back on all the teams of the history and see if any outside backs have actually been put onto a bench.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's because he's got Harry Grant there as well.
Yeah.
So Ben Hunt to start, Harry Grant on there as a utility, and then also Cobbo.
Well, so Ben Hunt can cover halves. Obviously, if there's an injury, or then so they got cover there, and then obviously it's a smart move, really.
Yeah.
If there's a high risk of injury for outside backs, and there obviously has been historically for them, so you can it's a bold play, taking away like maybe a quicker guy off the bench. Queensland have always had a Cooper Cronk before he was starting, Cherry Evans, these guys that came on as that lock utility half.
Yeah.
So they're going against the grain a little bit, but it'd be interesting to see how much time he gets, if he does get much time, and where he plays.
Do you think these injuries to both states in the back so far this season, a few to name, Cleary, Trbojevic, Munster, Ponga, do you think that those backs going down, do you think that's sort of forced Billy's hand here a little bit, deciding to go with Cobbo and Grant on the bench there?
Yeah. Grant obviously starting could have been... You wouldn't roll your eyes. There it is. You wouldn't roll your eyes to... if he was starting, but obviously Ben Hunt's obviously adds a different dynamics for them there. But look, they've got a great side. I think for me, the one that stands out for me is Ben Hunt and Cherry Evans, with the amount of games that they've played, their experience, their wisdom in big moments. That's what worries me the most as a New South Wales fan. Looking at the whole squads and both squads, I think their experience there could be the difference if the games are close.
Yeah, Queensland's had to replace an outside back in 4 of their last 6 games. So I think that's obviously got a lot to do with why Billy's gone the way he's gone on the bench. So.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I read a stat this morning. It was like 36 games this year in the regular season have had an outside back go down injured in the first half.
Yeah.
It's the most ever.
Yeah, right.
So even like on the weekend, the Dragons and when was it, Thursday night? Dragons and Bulldogs. Jack Bird went down.
Yeah.
They lost their
That looked
centre.
bad too.
Yeah, and then
it looks so bad, but apparently it's not.
It's alright, eh? Yeah. Milking it.
It looked gross. Like,
Yeah.
and then the Bulldogs scored 38 unanswered points in the
and
second
most of them
half.
up that side,
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for rubbing that in.
Sorry for
You're a Dragons fan, aren't you?
Yeah. Had to leave. My daughter was.
I'm happy
My
for
daughter
Lomax.
was.
we were at the game. Yeah.
I think
See, he's
he's on his spot.
and he's one of the form wingers of the competition. He's so much bigger than I thought he was,
Yeah.
man. Like I didn't realize how big he is. He's just a massive unit. And yeah, like one of the things that I saw on the internet and all the Dragons groups was like memes about like Michael Maguire's face when Zach Lomax does something stupid, because he does have a tendency to do like silly things. Ever since he started, ever since he's been on there was like one game where he jumped on Tyson Frizzell's back after Tyson Frizzell scored for Newcastle.
Well, he just comes up with a lot of stuff. Individually, doesn't he? Which in a big game in an Origin, like the amount of tries, there was a 3-week period there where he was just catching bombs, like under 12s, wasn't he? He was chasing his halves kicks, chasing hard for 30 metres and jumping over fullbacks to score.
Yeah,
A little bit of schoolboy type of stuff. So that individual stuff is what comes out in big games. You know, you're relying on individual brilliance in an Origin for someone. You're looking at your teammates or yourself to come up with big moments, and I think. I think he'll come up with some big plays. He can score tries. He can get in awkward positions and find the try line. And that stuff, like I said, chasing kicks, that stuff's priceless in big games.
Yeah, he's one of the best support players, I think, right now across the whole league. Chasing kicks constantly. He's always there chasing kicks. And he's also always supporting for a line break whenever he's playing. So I think his defense is really good too. That's one of the things that he gets a lot of as a Dragons fan, he's underrated for. People don't notice it because he does all those really flashy plays, but his defensive reads and stuff are really good too. So we're all happy. All the Dragons fans are happy he's in. It's just funny because
they're young legs too, aren't they? They've got a young team with Suwali, with Lomax, a few debutants. It brings new energy as well. Mitch Barnett, I'm really happy for. He's a good mate of mine from Newcastle, and he's in the squad, so it'd be interesting to see if something falls through or if he gets an opportunity on the bench closer to the game. But I think someone like him, he's been playing great for 2 years now. He's been playing great his whole career.
Yeah.
But especially since he's gone to the Warriors, I think he was captain for the first time on the weekend. He's a real leader, always has been, and I think his leg speed and his aggression could be the difference for New South Wales. So I'd love to see Mitch come off the bench.
Sorry, Mitch. You just touched on Suwali's inclusion there before. Some in the media have being critical of his inclusion. I know Phil Rothfield of the Daily Telegraph's been one of them. Suwali's going to join the ARU on a $5 million deal to run from 2025 to 2027. Personally, I don't see why this is an issue for Michael Maguire. I mean, his job is to pick the team that gives him the best chance of winning the game. If he's going to rugby next year, well, so be it. That's got nothing to do with Michael Maguire. He's got a job to do, and that's to pick the best team he can.
Yeah, that's just a bit of politics from journos there, obviously trying to cause a bit of controversy. I don't think it should make a difference whether you're going somewhere, if you're going to netball or soccer or basketball. If you're good enough now, you should be playing. And Suwali's been an interesting one. Obviously, doing a little bit of stuff at the Roosters, seeing him up close, just his presence, really cool, calm sort of dude. And each week, I reckon he's developing his game. At the start of the year, he was playing solid. He's always got his strong carries and he's a good defender. But I reckon over the last little period when the Roosters have started to pile on a lot of points, he's really started to just little increases in his game. He's starting to find his voice. I saw a try last week where he came from the opposite edge and came around. So he's starting to stamp his authority. So I think the Origin time for him's come at a perfect time. He's in really good form, and it's big players love these occasions, and I think he'll step up big time.
You think maybe his size? I mean, he's almost acts as an extra forward with his size with those kick returns.
He just runs so powerful too.
Yeah.
Like you look at a lot of players of his ability that were the best in the juniors. They've got the skip on the out and they burn people with speed. A lot of his stuff's through brute.
Yeah.
Like he's obviously got that union background, but a lot of his carries he runs into the line with such impact. And he's probably you'd let him off for allowing him just to do the pretty stuff, but he does a lot of tough work. So. And in an Origin, once again, those tough carries in yardage when you need just the power game from your back five, he'll be putting his hand up.
Yeah, he's become so good. I was watching some highlights just specifically for them this year because last year there was a massive criticism around him not passing the ball when he should. There would be support players there and he wouldn't pass the ball to them and stuff. I think that was just I love the internet calls him selfish, but I think it was just immaturity. It was new to the first grade kind of thing. And this year. He's like I said, he's hitting hard into the line and then offloading around the corner and stuff, and these support players are getting those line breaks off him. So I couldn't care less if he's going to Union. I actually don't think anybody does. I haven't seen anybody. Like I follow a lot of fan sentiment and stuff like that. I haven't seen anybody complain except for the media.
Yeah.
Phil Rothfield. Phil Rothfield.
Well, it's good from I know their competition, but from a Union perspective, he's a big signing, isn't he? They've probably been crying out for someone like him since your Lottie Dakiri, Wendell Saylor days. Who else went over? Izzy Folau.
Yeah.
So we don't like talking about the other sport, but it's obviously a big thing for them to get an Origin player, one of the best young players in the game.
Well, they need some.
They need something. Their game's just gone backwards.
He
might end up in Japan. Who knows? Big money over there.
Lots of money over there. Massive amounts.
Your former club teammate at the Roosters, Latrell Mitchell, he was overlooked for selection despite South having that win over Parramatta the other night. Do you think maybe he'd probably just left his run a bit too late and probably in different form up to this point of the season has probably cost Latrell at the selection table?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. He's obviously he's had a mixed bag this year, plenty of criticism. So, look, he's a great player. On the weekend, he found a little bit of form, which was good for Latrell and for South Sydney, trying to get back in the winning circles. But I think on form, Lomax, Sawali, Crichton, who's our other centre? I've just had a mind blank.
Toho,
sorry, Sawali and Toho on the left side. So having them there on form, I don't think you can sort of argue with that. And I think for Latrell, it's probably good for him just to, with all the pressure and everything that's going on. I've been in those situations before. You're better off just concentrating on your club team and trying to gain back that confidence. Yeah,
well, they beat up Parramatta pretty hardcore, but Parramatta just gone through their coaching change. They've got heaps of injuries. That was a weird thing, like Brad Arthur getting sacked in the middle of the season.
Weird.
It was weird.
Yeah, so
I wonder what's going on there.
Oh, sorry. So Maguire obviously wasn't too swayed by the one-off performances. I mean, he still overlooked Latrell despite South winning, and he still picked Nico Hines even though Cronulla got thumped by the Panthers 42-0, which to his credit, I mean the Sharks are on top of the ladder.
Yeah,
you can't just bail on Nico just because of one-off night, and he's been rewarded for a good season that he's had so far.
Pearcey told me they were going to win. I should have listened to you.
Oh no, I backed them good on the weekend. All my tips were good. Manly as well. Yeah, Manly one on you with Munster out. I had a feeling.
I followed you for Manly, but I questioned you on that Panthers one. I was like, surely Panthers can't beat.
I thought Panthers would bounce back. I just felt like Cronulla's been up, just going off the back of what you said about Nico. I thought Cronulla been up for a long time. I think they've only dropped one game this year. And that happens. Or the perfect season doesn't exist. You have ups and downs, and I just had a feeling that the Penrith would bounce back. But to Nico, I think obviously went off on the weekend. It's still a suspect whether he gets through to the actual match, whether his calf holds up. The thing with those calves, and I've had a few of them, tightness can turn into a strain really fast.
Yeah,
they're a bit risky. We can't comment because I don't know the exact extent of it, but I've had them before, and when you come off with them, they can be sensitive. So hopefully for his sake and for New South Wales, it's all good. But look, he well and truly deserves his spot. If you're talking purely on form, consistency over the last year and a half, it's not even in debate whether he should be there. But like all of us in rep footy and in that position, you got to step up and deliver, and the criticism's going to come until you do. And he's got a big task at his hands, and I think the style that they're going to play though is going to be interesting. I was only having a conversation with someone yesterday about it. we've gone for a power game type of team, leg speed, with Martin, Jake Trbojevic, McGuinness, all smaller bodies that have got really good leg speed. So to me, with the halves that we got who are space players, they want to be playing off the front foot.
Yeah.
The only issue with that is in Origin, if you're getting the refs are against you and you're not getting much possession, you spend a lot of time in your own end. So it's going to be a big responsibility for the halves and Nico to kick their way out of trouble and manage the game in those situations. I got full confidence he will. But yeah, there's two sides to every team you pick, and that'll be their challenge is if they're on the back foot and not winning possession, they're going to have to play off the back foot. It's the same challenge for every half, but it's going to be interesting how they handle that, and I'm sure they will.
Yeah, you mentioned Jake Trbojevic before as well. I know you said before you weren't happy about James Tedesco being axed from the side, but are you happy with Jake Trbojevic's appointment as the skipper? Yeah,
definitely. Such a nice guy. I played 1 or 2 Origin games with him. Just a soldier, isn't he? And the fact that I'm sure anyone who's ever played with him would say that he's never let you down and he's there when it counts. There's no better rap than that. And as a captain, that's all you ever want, is for your captain to be there when it counts. And I think he's quite a good talker too. He seems, watching Manly games, him and Cherry obviously share their responsibility as a leader, but you see Jake in those pressure situations, he's always quite a strong voice. And with the pressure cooker of Origin, galvanising his team in pressure situations, I'm sure he'll do a great job, and I wish him all the best.
Do you think it's a bit weird that he's not the club captain, and there's 3 other club captains in the squad and they didn't pick
Crichton, Yo and McInnes. Yeah,
I thought Yowie, if Yowie got picked in the starting team and he was your captain, you wouldn't blink either, would you? He's obviously a 3-time premiership winning captain. Yeah. He's been awesome in rep footy.
Yeah, he's win 3 premierships in a row as captain.
We're going to keep talking about that. It's like what you just said before. Like even with Jerome's selection, it's never been done before, has it? 3 premierships since the 80s, maybe.
Yeah, Parramatta 81, 82,
If
83.
Sterling and Kenny weren't picked in Origin after 3 premierships, you'd be going,
yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
So it's sort of interesting when we were debating around whether Yowie starts or Jerome's in the team after they're 3-time premiership winners. So it's quite funny, isn't it? Really,
especially seeing as the captain has been dropped as well. So there's an opening there as well, and they still overlooked the 3 successive premiership winning skipper in Isaiah Yeo.
Yeah, I wonder if the decision to go with McGuinness to start and Yowie on the bench with Nathan out was the fact we lost last series. There was a lot of criticism around the style we played. They were comparing it to Penrith, that it was too structured. We're trying to play too much structured shape in an Origin. And there's a valid point to that. So I think unless Madge has done a lot of reviews and kind of gone down his preparation on the fact that he just wants leg speed and flat and fast halves, well, it makes sense with the team he's picked.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can justify not having Yowie starting.
The other one was wasn't really on anyone's radar that I know was Leniu on the bench. But that's just because he hasn't played. He's only played 2 games this year, 3 games.
He'll be awesome.
He had an 8-game suspension for that racist comment in Vegas.
But I mean, beginning of the year, right at the beginning of the year, he was one of the guys that I actually because you never stop talking about Origin.
Yeah.
He was on my radar for Origin.
Yeah, and
then I forgot he existed actually because he was out for 8 weeks.
And that's where we had Olakau'atu from Manly, obviously. I think that the Islander type middles where they've got big bodies and their leg speed, Olakau'atu, Spencer, these type of forwards for me are, you need one in your team off the bench. Big bodies.
Oh, he's going to carve up when he comes on.
Big leg speed. So I think Spencer's a great. He only plays sort of short minutes. He'll probably play 15, 20 minutes. But watching him for the Roosters the last couple of weeks, off kickoffs and everything, he's always down in the line, isn't he? And he's that guy that I reckon Nico and Jerome will be looking for in late in games to get him a quick play the ball.
Yeah, and the other interesting one was Api Coruscant being overlooked at hooker. Reece Robson getting the nod there. It was interested in your thoughts
because
on that
Michael Maguire hates the Tigers, right?
Is that what it is?
No, that's what the internet says.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Appy one's that's a weird one. Appy. I think on form and ability, probably not form, but as far as ability and skill wise, I'd say Appy all day. But maybe it goes into the theme of what Madge is after again. He likes he wants to keep it really simple, penetrate up the field with power game, someone who works really hard in defence and keeps things simple.
Yeah,
That's the only way you could sort of justify that selection, I think.
So you got Reece Robson, yeah. So he's at number 9, and then the cover is Cam McInnes, and they play very similar styles. Heavy defence, simple dummy half play, nothing creative, nothing Appy Coruscant style. So I think I heard a media thing say that really tells you exactly what Michael Maguire's going to do. He just was the dummy half to tackle, pass the ball to the halves, and the halves to bring the forwards into the game.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the dummy half to do, like what Appy does, quick darts out of dummy half.
Yep.
Weird, creative stuff.
He's just going there to blow him off the park, obviously.
Yeah.
Which, like we just said before, which is it's great to imagine that style of footy, but then in Origin, off errors or if the refs are against you or you're not getting possession, you've got to also play off the back foot. We will do that well, I think. We've got a mobile pack as well, and they're all great defenders individually.
Yeah.
One-on-one, they're all really good defenders, like Liam Martin, Jake. Like they're renowned for their one-on-one defence. So, yeah, it's going to be a great contest. But I think the Queensland pack, they're brutal, and they're fit. They're probably not the biggest bodies. Lindsay Collins is a big body, but they're probably not the biggest pack in the world. But once again, there's both teams, when you look at it, a mobile, smaller pack, smaller bodies, but just will go all day. So it'll be a fast game, that's for sure.
Yeah, I guess a couple of blows for the Maroons, missing Tom Flegler with that shoulder and Big Tino with that ruptured ACL as well.
Yeah. Big loss for him.
Yeah,
Tino.
Yeah, 100%. So it'll be interesting to see how they cover those two players.
Yeah. So they got on the back. They got.
There's the team there.
Yeah, Paddy Carrigan. Jaden Sewell's been awesome for Dragons though. He's been playing really good. He played rep footy a few years ago. A few years ago, didn't he? When he was at Broncos.
Fotuaika, Hopgood.
Kafusi still coming in 18th man. That Hopgood, I'm happy for him too. He's been good. He's that stereotype of the modern day sort of middle, isn't he? Low to the ground, good little ball player and good work rate. So
yeah, he's the only debutant in that side, Hopgood. Yeah, so apart from those outs in the forwards and I guess Munster as well.
Yeah.
I
think Tommy did, and I think was it last year that he debuted and he had a blinder.
I think it was.
So he's so good. Yeah, he's good. I think it probably obviously Munster being out is huge, but Tommy did and maybe suits Cherry's game. Obviously Munster there is a better option, but having Dearden there where he just plays he plays a bit similar to what Brooksy's been playing like in a way for Cherry, and that's been working for Cherry at club level, so it's quite dangerous for New South Wales.
So you got Dearden and Cherry Evans going up against Luai and Hines in the halves. I know we're still 7 sleeps away from the game, but how are you sort of reading how that battle in the halves is going to play out between those 4 players?
Well, I think Cherry's kicking game in big games, especially over the last bit of his career. His early kicking, his ability to control the tempo has been really impressive, and he just keeps getting better with that. Nico's probably a little bit behind him with that control of the whole team. Nico's more of a space player, feel-good player. He's got great instincts and he moves across the field really well. And he's going to be challenged. It's his first game in the number 7, so he's going to be challenged in pressure situations to steer the ship, as any good half is. So I see the 2 7s there. It's the old dog versus the young dog, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cherry's going to be confident. He'll know his game inside out. Where, I think for Nico, he just needs to find his feet early. I think if his team aims up and they're completing well and he's got good go forward, he'll be great. He'll play really well and he'll get confidence off the back of that. But yeah, it's a big challenge for both halves, like it always is. But I think Jerome's a bit of an unsung hero there. He's played a lot of Origin now. One thing with him is he stays in the game regardless of how things are going. Like even if there's errors, and like he's a confident kid. He's going after. He's always throwing sledges at the opposition, and like he's always in the game. So with the younger squad we have, he could be the difference there with his confidence.
100%. How much quicker would you say, or in terms of the intensity, how much quicker is an Origin game to an NRL game? If you had to say it's 3 times quicker, 4 times quicker?
The hardest ones, like they're all tough, but the quickest ones, if I reckon, I was going to try and say 4, 3 or 2. Probably 3 times. I don't know. A fuckload here. A fuckload quicker. A fuckload quicker. Mate, they're so quick. It's everything that goes into it, but you can't explain it. Like, that's the thing with Origin, I think, where it's such a good spectacle for fans, but even as players, like, there's no bigger challenge. And sometimes things can get glorified in life, can't they? Where, you know, fans and the media can speculate. Like, Origin, nothing is glorified. It is exactly what it's how it's seen and how you play it and how you feel, and everything that you get out of it is more than what anyone even expects. And I think that's what's so good about Origin, is the fact that you have all these dreams as a kid to play State of Origin, and when you finally get out there, you hear all these things about what a game it is and the speed, and it exceeds your expectations. So that's probably the only way I can really answer your question. And I think it's just the fact that it's reffed a little bit different, but everyone you're playing with is a superstar in their own way. Like, the guy next to you, you just don't want to let anyone down, because you know that they're not going to let you down. Like, they're the toughest players in the competition. Individually, they're all leaders, and it's just the event gets everyone that's already really good to a great level, and it just challenges you from the inside out. And you just know what you're playing for. You just got so much. It's not about you. It's literally about your family, and everything you've ever dreamt of. I've got deep there, but it's true.
No, man, it's like that's one of the things is I go through this in jiu-jitsu actually is people ask me what the difference is between training in the gym and going to competition. And I always tell them I can't tell you. People will ask, and it's the same thing. I'm sure everybody asks you, like, what's Origin like? And I understand why it's just like, it's a fuck ton harder. Because it's indescribable until you experience it. And I've had situations where I've told people, like, it's so much harder. And they're like, can you show me? And then I show them, like, increased intensity when I spar with them stuff. And they always go to me like, no one's going to do that to me. Because I'll just fuck them up. And they come back after and go, it was worse.
Well, it's a bit like probably when you're saying about fighting. You're doing... Like, training, you're still conscious enough to be practicing technique. Like, you know, and then when you go into fighting, it's all just autopilot.
Yeah, exactly.
NRL's the same. You know, you train during the week and you're a bit more conscious of your movements and what pass, for instance, what foot you're passing off, and you're thinking about your kick a bit more, and then you get into a game and it's automatic. Or in Origin, I think that's what you're not conscious of what you're doing. You're just in the moment, and it's all... You haven't got time to dwell on something that's just happened. And that's probably the best example for the speed of it. Like, if you're worrying about something you did before, you're going to have a shit 10 minutes. It's the ultimate of practicing being present, because you haven't got time to doubt yourself. If you doubt yourself and think about something you did before, you're going to fuck up again. And that's probably the biggest challenge for any sportsman, isn't it? That you got to just have total confidence in the next moment. And you just got to keep thinking forward. And it's harder said than done, isn't it? I think that's the biggest thing I've noticed in every Origin you play. You just don't have time to doubt yourself or think about something before. And when you do, you don't play well. And the beauty of it is too, though, that what the beauty of playing with such good players is that everyone around you just gets you in that zone. Like, there's some different energy when you're in those high rep teams. It's just all alpha energy, you know, the best of the best, and it's just a great environment to be in those sort of environments when you just know that you're not going to get let down by the player next year.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the reason I ask you that question, I just, you know, just from the outside looking in, I just would have thought that really gives DCE the edge over his opposite Hines, having that experience playing at that high intensity of State of Origin for so long now, compared to Nico who's inexperienced to that level. You just think that's going to give DCE an edge going in. You'd have to think
Nico Hines played last year, right?
He played off the bench.
10 minutes.
He didn't get much of a run.
He played as a 9. There's a bit of talk too about people saying, has he got scar tissue and all that. I don't know after 12 minutes playing out of position whether you would. Like, you're gonna maybe his last experience, and Origin can do that to you. It can leave scars. Because it's like anything, it'd be the same in the fight game. If you're going into such a big event and there's so much on the line, it's hard to just let go of the disappointment of things not going well. So there's no doubt he'd have mixed memories of the short stint he had, but I don't think it would affect his confidence. And he's a way better player now than what he did when he played last time, and he was playing out of position. So no, it's got the potential there to really set his legacy. Obviously, Nate Cleary is the out-and-out best player in the game and the best half, but he's got a little window here where he can own it, and it can be his. It could be his little moment in history, and who knows where that takes him. It could take him to an Australian jersey at the end of the year, and like look at it. We keep talking about Cherry, but at club level, Nico's playing just as well, so he just needs to replace that and replicate that in this big arena.
And Cleary's out for the whole thing, right?
I think he might be getting back just before Game 3, but I mean, obviously you'd know better than me, Mitch, but you'd probably, even as good as Cleary is, you'd need it, being out for that long, you'd need a run, you'd need an NRL game before you get selected in Game 3 for Cleary, do you think? Or you think they could just throw him straight in there, a player of his calibre?
It might be interesting, depending how the series going, whether he gets the knock. I'm pretty sure if we're 2-0 down or...
it doesn't matter.
Well,
if it's 2-0 down...
Well, sorry, even if it's 1-1 and he comes back and has a couple of good weeks, who knows? But I think someone of his calibre, if it was 50-50, they'd probably be knocking on his door to come back. But what are they saying? Is it 8 weeks?
It was 8 weeks from the injury, and it's been 2 weeks now.
2 weeks,
I heard somewhere that he's on track to come back for the third Origin game, but he won't get a run in the NRL before that game. So he'd just be coming in just picked. Picked without a run in the NRL.
If they're winning, if the series is going well and Nico's playing well, I can't see him probably changing it. But as we know, the injuries, it's such a long series, and there's always, the whole squad always gets used. There's going to be some sort of injuries in each game. It's just statistics. It's going to happen, whether they're serious or not. There's going to be some sort of injuries. So whoever stays fresh through the series usually gets the job done.
Nico's injured too, right? Maybe.
Yeah, calf. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So that could also come into play.
And Luke Keary will come in then, will he?
Yeah. You reckon?
That's he's in the squad.
Yeah,
so there's
Burton there too. Burton there as well, right?
So I think I think they'll put Luke. He's been playing great, and he's probably more of that organising type of half. He's more of a 5'8", but he's a bit more of an organiser, say, than probably Burton. If you had Jerome and Burton.
Which would you prefer, to move Jerome Luai to half and put Burton in, or Luke Keary in?
I'd put Luke. Personally, I'd put Luke Keary with,
because he can play either, right? He's he can. I don't even to tell you the truth, as a fan, and I speak these well, don't know the difference between a halfback and a 5'8".
Yeah.
Like, we can't really tell from the outside what the difference is. But Luke Keary can play both and has played both.
Yeah.
Whereas Jerome Luai has only just played halfback a few times and wants to be a halfback.
Yeah.
So if Nico can't do it, then of course you would drop Keary in.
Play. It's fair to say that the number 7's the boss of the side. That's a pretty key difference between the two positions.
Yeah, well, it depends the style you play. So an on the ball 7, you can't have two people organising the sets. You got to have a dominant voice, a dominant kicker, and then someone who plays off that. That doesn't mean that the 6 is less important or doesn't touch the ball as much. It's just you got to have someone that controls the sets, and then the 6 is usually more of a runner, instinctive type player. The 7's normally the one that's there to manipulate sets and build the sets a bit more. Traditionally, that's how they play. But the way the game is going now, we talk about the change in halves and 6 and 7. Some sides that don't have a dominant personality there can easily just sort of play left and right side half and share their responsibilities. But I still think traditionally is the best way. A dominant 7 and then a 6 that plays off the back of it.
Yeah, that's what it used to be for me. Like growing up through rugby league, I could tell the difference because the 7 was the boss and the 6 was like would run more basically. Yep. 7 would play make more, 6 would run more, but they both play make and run. Yep. But then I think when the Cowboys, before Jonathan Thurston retired, the Cowboys were going through troubles, and a lot of people in the media were saying they should move him to 5'8".
That's right. Yeah.
Like, and that would fix their problems. And then they did, and from a fan looking in, we were like, I can't tell the difference.
Who was he playing with then? He was playing with
maybe Townsend. No, it wasn't Townsend.
No.
It was,
I remember when he went to 6, but
yeah, and he went to 6 for like Origin as well, like that's for right. Cooper Cronk to take 7.
Yeah. Well, Thurston had that ability to play both, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's why, like, at the time I was like, no, I can't tell the difference. They really broke it. Because when I was young, it used to be like you'd have the 7, and the 7 would do a lot of talking and then run the ball. organise everything. You'd have the 6, and he'd do less talking and run the ball more. Like, both still kick, both still play make. But kind of like the easy way to tell the difference when you explain it to someone who doesn't know is 6 runs the ball a bit more. Yeah, because it goes 7 to 6.
Yeah, well, traditionally a 7 is the first receiver, and so if you watch the old school type of footy with Sterling and Kenny, 7 would be on the ball and the 6 would always be long sides, majority of the time. That's Alfie Langer and Wally Lewis. Wally's roaming around the field, looking out, counting numbers. Alfie's playing around the middle of the ruck. So the vision from a 7 was usually on the ABC defenders and the markers, and the 6 was traditionally observing out wider.
Yeah.
As we just said, it can change a bit. But Thurston's a great example to talk about with it. So when he played with Cooper, he'd adjust his style because Cooper was the more of a touch play player, loved kicking the ball, controlling the sets. So it allowed Thurston to go back to his instincts a little bit and play a bit freer. When he was at the Cowboys playing as the 7, he did the Cooper Cronk role where he was on the ball, play for play, and he had the year they had the success, he had Morgan and Lachlan Coote playing that sort of style as the free runners. So I still think that's the best way that it works, but as we spoke about, you got to adapt to what you got. You can't have a manufactured 7 trying to play Cooper Cronk style when he doesn't have the ability, because that won't work either. But if you look at the team at the moment, I think traditional type of halves, Jerome and Nathan probably the best examples of that, I reckon, in the modern game.
Yeah, so Jerome Luai wants to go to the Tigers and become a 7.
Yeah.
Obviously he'll partner future immortal Lachlan Galvin.
Yeah.
I've been calling him all year future immortal because after one game,
just,
everyone was like, "You don't need Jerome Luai anymore."
There was some in the media who were saying that, bizarrely, that they didn't need Jerome Luai after the Tigers won 2 out of their first 3 games with Galvin and Caesar there. And yeah, that's obviously...
You know what would be good to get all the stories over the last 20 years? Like the journos of the start of seasons.
Yeah, sure.
And just sit there and have a laugh over a feed and just go like, it'll be pretty funny.
That's got to be...
How many Immortals would have got thrown out after 2 games and never played again? Or
that's Lachlan Galvin
some
forever.
Funny stories.
Will be that like future immortal Lachlan Galvin, no matter what happens for the rest of his life.
Jerome Luai has won 3 straight premierships in the halves, and the Tigers don't need him apparently.
They definitely need him now. Right now.
I think they're crying out for him.
They got the week off by this week. And
by this week. That's why they're on holidays. Like Benji Marshall's gone to Fiji or something with his family.
I'll look that up for you now.
But he's given everyone a week off. That's the thing, right? He's given everyone a week off. Media's come out and bagged him and said Wayne Bennett and Craig Bellamy will never do that. They'd never go on holiday in the middle of the year. But apparently the whole squad's had the week off to go away and take it.
I think Wayne Bennett used to do that.
Go to Fiji? Or?
I don't know, he went to Fiji, but I think the teams a lot of teams do it where you get a break where you can get 4 or 5 days off, which I think is not bad for players. You need the space and you need the freedom to come back fresher. Yeah,
well, it doesn't necessarily...
How do they know he went there anyway?
Oh, it's the media, man. They follow everyone. You can't necessarily say, like, Tigers aren't going well, right? They haven't improved. They've actually gotten pretty much worse. But they still have future immortal Lachlan Galvin. I don't think anyone outside can criticise Benji for giving everyone the time off because they don't know. Like, he had 2 choices, right? Yeah. Make everyone come to train or give everyone the time off.
Yeah.
And you don't know which one is better.
Yeah.
I mean, if they come out and win next week, all these people that are criticising him...
it just makes stories, doesn't it? I can understand what he's doing. Like I said, you need break. Like, you've been playing, was it round... What did it round?
It's round 12 now.
Round 12 already.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, round 12.
Round 12's done yet, round 13. Tigers got the bye, then they got the Dragons in round 14.
Is it everyone coming off a bye this year has won? Is that one of the stats that I read the other day?
So what do the Tigers got to win to make the 8 from now?
Everything.
Every game?
What are they?
They've won 2 games out of...
12.
Oh, they've had a couple of buys.
I think they've had... So they have to get 30 points to make the thing. So they need
2 games out of 12.
9, 10, 11. So they played 11 games. They won 2. So that means they've got 13 games to go. To win half their games, they'd need to win 10 of their last 13.
Backing them?
Nobody is, man. This isn't. They don't have a player like last year. They don't have a Kalen Ponga who can take them from 15th to the finals in the last 10 games. They don't have a player that can basically single-handedly win 10 games in a row.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't even know who's that. Like, Api Coruscant's their best player, yeah?
Yeah.
But he ain't a Kalen Ponga.
Yeah.
We just talked him up a lot, but he's not going to be able to help them win 10 games in a row.
Different position.
Yeah, so no. I'm backing them to not win the spoon.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Unless the Rabbitohs, on the other hand, they do have a player. They got Latrell, who could, in theory, find form and pull the Kalen Ponga from last year and go on and win a Dally M and take the Rabbitohs to the finals. They actually could get off the bottom.
What are they on? What are South?
They've won 2 as well. They
only won 2 games.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know, right?
What do you got there? You got Para's not doing too much better either, are they?
Well, they got all their players injured. They got an injury
Knights
crisis.
are in 7th. They're going right.
Yeah.
14 points.
Knights I expected to collapse. I can't wait till the end of the year when we look at our predicted ladders.
Yeah.
I had the Knights at, I think, 15th or something like that. I expected them to fully collapse.
Who have they got coming up, the Knights? Have they got a good...
Yeah, I'll check that one out.
Are they playing this week? Or are they on a bye as well? There's only 5 games this week. I know Roosters have got the Cowboys.
Yeah, they got the Bulldogs on Friday night.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, saw yesterday, yeah. See, Bulldogs are missing...
So I'm hoping that Burton will be able to play.
He can't. He's been named 18th man.
But I thought that the 18th man could
18th
play.
man can't. Gus tweeted about it. Someone asked him on Twitter, and he replied, because 18th man is now the concussion cover. In the olden days, you could. Now they have the concussion cover, so Burton is technically, he plays that game.
Yeah, right.
And so, somebody asked, can Burton play in the 18th man? And Gus replied and said no. So expect to...
because they let a few players go back, don't they?
Yeah. So it's anyone above 18th man can go back to their team. So 19th...
So 19th and 20th
really?
can go back. If he doesn't play, if he doesn't get any minutes in Origin, he won't be happy that he hasn't been able to play.
No, that's what Gus is saying. Like, it's so stupid.
On Friday night.
Because
he misses 2 games.
They're missing Crichton and Burton.
Yeah.
But if Burton's the 18th man, he'll most likely get 0 minutes.
Yeah.
To go from 18th man as a HIA replacement, a lot has to happen. It doesn't happen very often. So it's like, 1 in 100 chance he'll actually get any game time.
But that's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing. So you'd think that they should let him play.
Yeah, out of everybody.
Because if he has some involvement in the Origin game, it's not going to be that many minutes. Like, it's not going to be like he's going to be playing the full 80.
You think about what has to happen for the 18th man to play. It has to be like a head injury assessment based on foul play.
Yeah.
So someone actually has to do something bad enough to knock him unconscious.
Yeah, where they can use that extra.
And then they get the 18th man. So and it's only happened twice this year or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's no chance Burton is playing.
It's one player. One player.
Dogs are going right, aren't they?
Yeah, man. Well, I wasn't happy the other day.
They're doing well.
The
next couple of years, you could tell.
They seem to just be creating a lot more opportunities in attack than they have been in the last 7 or 8 years.
No, they got good flow to them, don't they?
Yeah,
They
changed to the fullback when Blake Taft got injured. Changed to the fullback and Connor Tracy came in.
Yeah.
That changed everything.
Yeah, it changed everything, man.
Yeah.
So they're talking about this week that Blake Taft, I don't think he's been named there, but he might actually get a chance to play at 6 because he's a better half than a fullback, apparently.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Gus mentioned
there's a good kid coming through there called Mitch Woods.
Yeah. They
He's
talk about him
player.
in one of the Facebook groups I'm in. Yeah,
He goes well.
Yeah, so
He just played under 16s New South Wales, I think, or 18s.
yeah.
They're talking about him coming up through there the next couple of years.
I think Gus mentioned he wants to turn Taff into a half.
Okay.
Like, matter of fact, because he's a better half than... It was funny because 6 weeks ago, Dan mentioned how Blake Taff looks like a better halfback than a fullback.
Yeah, right.
And then I saw yesterday that Gus was saying they actually want to turn Taff into a half.
Well, they need one there, don't they?
Yeah, for sure. They got Sexton back from injury.
Sexton,
yeah. So he
And
played.
there's Hutchison there as well, I was just going to go back to the Origin. Just looking at we were talking about the Queensland halves before. What did you make of their decision to go with Dearden over Ezra Mam there at 5/8, the Maroons?
I liked it. I think, as I said before, I think Dearden suits Cherry's game there a little bit. And he played really well. His last game he played, he debuted really well. He's tough, competitive. Ezra's obviously really good in his own right. I thought if Cobber wasn't picked on the bench, Ezra, as that utility, which they've historically done, I think could have been a good bet with his speed coming off late in games around the ruck with his instincts. But they've obviously gone for Cobber. But yeah, I think Dearden, in those type of games, I think is a better bet.
Yeah, and another interesting selection for the Maroons, or non-selection, David Fafita left out. Had 230 run metres for the Titans in that win over the Broncos. 2 try assists, 2 line breaks, 5 tackle breaks.
Yeah.
And he's been overlooked by Billy.
That was the conspiracy. I love the TikTok conspiracies. Yeah. I go full get into them. It was because Billy Slater didn't want to give New South Wales fans a chance to boo David Fafita for his backflip.
Yeah. Something in it. Because obviously his size and that, like coming in late in the games. How's his form been in Origin the last couple of years?
David Fafita, good. His Titans form last year was pretty bad, but I've seen highlight packages and put together this year for the Titans since they've been improving, and he's been one of their best players.
He just scores all those tries, doesn't he? Those individual tries.
Yeah. He scored a length of the field one almost, like 80 metres.
He's super quick. Yeah. I think the thing that he brings that they're going to lose is that, you know, he brings X factor that other players can't do. Obviously, speaking the truth with it, but he obviously can. He comes up with things that other players aren't going to come out. As if I'm a half defending on the line, when my teammates are fatigued, and you got him coming at you, like he worries you more than most of the other players. Yeah. But maybe Billy's looking at his repeat efforts a bit. Sometimes he can get a little bit lazy. That's the honest truth. I reckon when in his game consistently, could probably be a little bit lazy at times, and maybe that's something that Billy's tried to go away from.
He said something like he hasn't been quite there this year.
Slater made 2 comments on it. He said, he hasn't quite hit the standard he created for himself last year.
Yeah.
And Buzz Rothfield asked him about, has the circus around his playing future had anything to do with it? And Slater said, obviously, it's got nothing to do with it.
Calling him reverse Cherry Evans.
Just,
You forget about Cherries, I know.
Yeah. I was just thinking, 2 of us are Blues fans and we got a former Blues player here. I'm just thinking, looking at the Maroons team sheet, I feel more comfortable with David Fafita not on the team sheet than I would if he was on the team sheet.
Yeah,
to be
for
honest.
that X factor.
Yeah,
sure.
100%.
Well, the way he targets the halves in defence is crazy. Like he gets through the line. So I've been watching highlight packages that people have been put on, and he just runs at the half, and he's got an 80-metre line, like it's forward. Doing an 80-metre through, and he ran through whichever half it was.
We're
just straight over him.
10 out too, he just bumps everyone off.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
It would have been interesting to see him at the Roosters, like under that sort of different, better system, possibly.
Imagine him and Lenny here.
I know. Playing him just big minutes. And
so that was a weird situation because he said, I'm not going to the Roosters.
Yeah.
And then he signed with the Roosters. And then he said, actually, I'm not going to the Roosters.
It was a bit weird, the whole situation, wasn't it?
But it wasn't obviously there's off conjecture and stuff, but it was like, people are saying because it was like Desi got in his ear and told him all of his plans, or it was all just a set up by his agent to get the Titans to commit to life after football or something. Like, there's all this kind of stuff. But
maybe you got a little bit more cash.
Yeah, exactly. What's going on there? It's a little bit sus.
Sorry, how much do you think it helps Reece Walsh having Billy Slater as his coach? How much do you think it helps his development there?
Yeah, I think he'd probably say himself, wouldn't he, if you asked him how, to hang around probably the greatest fullback of all time would obviously benefit his game in many ways, and he probably doesn't get that luxury to be around someone like Billy very often. So I think it's a good opportunity for Walshy as well, where he's at in his career. There's an opportunity with Teddy gone for that Australian jersey now. He loves the big stage. It's got a bit of a feel about a bit of a Walshy series, doesn't it? You know, a lot of those great players sort of come into their own through these Origin series. He's at that age where he's playing really good footy. So not happy for us, for New South Wales as fans, but if it goes that way for him, you can almost see that he's got that potential to really own this series and then own that Australian jersey. As I said, it's not good for us as New South Wales fans for that storyline, but you can see it happening.
Yeah, for sure. That guy's when he has a good game, it's really that's a one man show.
He's busy. He comes up with. I think the thing for him probably being around Billy as well. You remember Billy in his early days? He actually came up with a lot of errors, like for how good he was, because he used to chance his arm, didn't he? He'd force passes and he got a lot tidier. Obviously, he's one of the all-time greats, nearly an immortal. But I'm saying in the early days, if you watch, he was a lot busier and had a lot more errors in him than he did when he was complete, obviously, like all players. But Where Walshy at the moment, he comes up with 10 really good things, and he's always got a couple of errors in him because he chances his arm, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a positive.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe it'd be good for him through this development period through Origin around Billy. He might be able to crease out a few of those little errors that are.
I remember that 2008 World Cup final where Slater threw that pass back on the inside and it didn't find anyone, and then Benji picked it up and scored that key try. But he always seemed like a player, Slater, who would just let it brush off him if he made a mistake. You talked before about players who they need the ability at that level to just quickly move on from their mistakes. There was no one better at that than Billy Slater as a player.
No, he was the best. And Thurston was the same. Thurston was the same. He used to ask a lot of questions and come up with a few errors in his game. But like all those great players, they just keep asking questions at you and they're not affected by failing. What's that Michael Jordan quote? Fail 100 times, and what was the quote?
Miss, what is it? You failed every
It's a good
shot.
one.
I can't remember.
But yeah, it is a good quote. But it's true. You see all those. You got to ask questions. You got to take risks.
You miss
all those
every
great
shot you don't
players
take. That's what it is. You miss every
it's a
shot
good
you
quote.
don't take.
It's having on my wall. That's why I
So
brought
you
it
got to
up.
be allowed to make mistakes. You need the freedom to make mistakes.
Well, if you're asking 100 questions, you're going to come up with 60 good things majority of the time. If you're not, you're playing within yourself, and that's not as effective. So, whilst he's got no worries there, he's got full of confidence, and he just asks constantly at you in the defence with his speed and his footwork.
Yeah, and they're going that two hooker combination again, obviously with Ben Hunt starting and Harry Grant off the bench.
Yep.
The Maroons. So
Ben Hunt's been great, hasn't he? Just all his career, just a competitor, but in that Origin arena, especially the last couple of years, he comes up with some big moments for them, and sort of found his own in that 9 role.
Yeah, they always want him to be a 9, like for Origin, and then he goes back to halfback at club. I don't know what the go is there. Like, does he not want to be a 9 at club or what? But that combination, that Ben Hunt at hooker at Origin is like devastating to every Dragons fan. Because how much he does for them at 9, and like we get him at 7. And we don't get that because he doesn't have the players around him.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing. We don't have Cherry Evans that are normally Munster at the Dragons. It's just sucked.
You're bitter, aren't you? Bitter Dragons fan.
I am.
Bring back Trent Barrett.
Yeah, he can stay at Parramatta. Right now. But, and then Harry Grant coming off the bench is going to... I really worry. That's where my biggest worry is for the New South Wales team.
Yep.
Like, what Ben Hunt, Daly, Cherry Evans... set up, and then Harry Grant coming off the bench to carve up around the...
What's interesting, isn't it, with Harry Grant coming off the bench? Has Billy said much about that?
Sorry, I'll just
the reasons why he's starting them?
Sorry.
No.
Because it's just, I thought, you wouldn't... Harry Grant starting, obviously...
I saw Slater, he spoke on NRL 360 on Monday night, and I don't think he said too much about it. I think he was keeping his cards a bit close to his chest.
They could swap late in the game, the team. Because that's what it normally is, Harry Grant starts and Ben Hunt comes off the bench.
That's what was interesting,
But I think, like, Harry Grant has more running game. Like, he has more runs in him than Ben Hunt does. Ben Hunt has less of a running game from hooker, dummy half.
Yeah, he's quick, isn't he, Harry Grant?
Yeah, like so fast off the mark at dummy half.
It is a worry, that little combo, regardless what they do, like with Hunt and Harry Grant.
Yeah,
like it's top really shelf. It's dangerous for us if they've got a lot of possession.
And Ben Hunt kicking from dummy half as well. He's kicking from dummy half's really good.
Yep.
Like, he can really put everybody on the back foot from there. That's
he kicks good early, doesn't he, in big games out of 9.
Yeah.
It's probably for him, it's probably a breath of fresh air when he goes to 9, because as a half, you got to organise everyone else. He simplifies his role. He's naturally tough. He probably enjoys that.
That's what I worry most about. For New South Wales, like that combination. I just think, fuck.
No, well, they're experienced as well, him and Cherry, and they got a good side. But I like the energy that we'll have. I think we're going to have obviously a new coach, fresh, tough, hungry players. So it's just exciting every year, isn't it? Yeah. Every game, every year, every series. It's just always, you never know what's going to come. Yeah.
Like I always say, the worst time of the year is the half an hour before Origin starts, where you have to watch a rerun of 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
You watch the news that's all about Origin and it finishes 2.5 men comes in. He's like, come on, Origin.
And you get Gus's speeches.
Yeah, and then Gus's speech starts.
So game 1 in Sydney, there's been 31 Origin matches at Sydney's Olympic Park. New South Wales have won 20 of them. Game 2 in Melbourne, Game 3 in Brisbane.
Yep.
So how important for the Blues to get that win in Sydney first up?
Yeah, you got to win your home games.
Yeah.
It makes it very difficult. I don't know if you got a stat on there, but New South Wales winning in Queensland is very, very, very rare.
Yeah.
I don't think we've won. You could probably count on one hand.
I'm going to look
it up.
You.
I remember when I was playing, it was like you hardly. Must have been like 3 or 4 wins in like 12 years.
I'll be able to find that for you.
There's not many.
No. Even Melbourne is like a Queensland home game as well. I hate this going to Melbourne. I hate it.
I played at MCG in Melbourne, which was unreal. 100,000 down there. But I think if you can jag the win here, New South Wales got the run of the green with the fact that we got the home game into Melbourne.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely even though they got the decider there, I think if it gets us off to a good start, if you can win at home and then take that confidence to Melbourne.
Queensland's won of 60 games played at Lang Park / Suncorp Stadium. Queensland has won 39 of them.
But a lot of that would have been early days too.
Yeah.
Their wins, I reckon, over the last 20 years. I don't reckon we would have won much there.
No, I can't remember it. Like, it's very rare.
Queensland won 11 out of 12 between 06 and 2017, but since 2018 it's 3-3.
Yeah.
And obviously you played in the 2019 win.
They don't
I'm saying specifically when New South Wales have won the game in Queensland.
Oh, right, yeah. Look, I'll just have to look that up.
In the last however many years they've played, only one in New South Wales, one in Queensland as well.
Yeah, right.
And then one in Melbourne or wherever. Wasn't there one in Adelaide last year or something?
Sorry, you're just looking for New South Wales wins.
Oh, no, it was COVID.
You're just looking for New South Wales Origin wins in Queensland?
Yeah.
Where they won the series in Queensland? 0. They got to win game 1. They have to. I was actually, my first Origin I ever went to was at Sydney, and it was, they at ANZ, New South Wales had won like every game for 10 years or something. It was the one they lost. It was the first Origin I ever went to, man. It sucked. I always wanted to go.
Did you go to Lang Park?
Nah. I really wanted. That's like on our bucket list for me and my mates to go there.
Awesome. No, I'm saying the original one, never.
Oh no, definitely no.
Because you wouldn't have been. You would have been old enough back then. Old enough.
No, I never left New South Wales until I was like 28 years old or something that. Yeah, never went anywhere. Seriously, I can't even remember when it was, but we went to the Gold Coast. That was the first time I ever left the state. So never went to Lang Park. But going to that Origin game was with Brett Stewart was the fullback. He might have even been playing.
Yeah. Big snake, Brett Stewart.
And I think it might have been actually also the first time they named Greg Bird and Paul Gallen in the team.
Oh yeah.
And it was a really close game, like 10-6 or something, but it just sucked.
Yeah.
First time going to Origin,
and losing.
They're supposed to always win it at ANZ. And then I once watched the only Origin in 3D as well, because the one year they did it in 3D. I watched it at the cinemas.
Oh,
it was so good, man.
That's mad.
It was so good. It was like being inside the field,
Yeah, that'd be crazy. They still do it?
No, because the cameras are too expensive. They just did it for a game. It was
some of those good TVs now seem 3D anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Like some of those,
the massive ones,
I was watching the footy the other night. It was just like on Foxtel, like the imagery on that it's crazy.
When you get the
now.
4K stream, man, it's so good.
It's like the grass is like real.
Yeah, that was. I think Queensland might have actually won that 3D game like 26-0 or something as well. So it sucked.
Was that the one in the Darling Harbour there?
Yeah. It was so good. Like it was, man. Like when I watched that, I was like, "That's how all sports should be."
With the glasses and that.
Yeah, it was cinema screen. It was in like the VMAX screen, massive screen, 3D. And
what do they normally play in there now?
I don't know.
Just movies and.
What have they got up there now? I don't even know. I haven't been there since it opened. Yeah, just movies and stuff.
Yeah.
But honestly, all sports should be done like that. 3D like that.
American sport must do it, do they?
They do. They're doing. Now they're doing. Have you seen the enhanced thingy? I don't know what it's where like you put glasses on and you can browse the internet and also watch stuff.
Nah.
I should check it out. It's crazy. And they're doing like 3D. It's like holographic. You can actually watch like the whole field. and like zoom it out and stuff like that.
Yeah,
They're doing all
right.
this stuff that's at like the Consumer Electronics Show every year. They're showing off this stuff, but it all comes down to the cameras.
Yeah.
They need special cameras for it, and the cameras are too expensive, so broadcasters don't want to do it.
Be interesting to see where the TVs go. Like in
It's fully just going to be like
20
you
years.
put your thing on.
Like,
Like
we'll be like aliens, man.
my mate gave me like a
It's like we're on mushies right now. Talking.
my mate gave me like one of those virtual reality headsets, and I played a video game on it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how big your screen is, the entire field of vision was it.
Have you ever played the virtual reality stuff?
Yeah, that was like I
Where
played.
you go to like Fox Studios?
Nah, man, like
Go do that, bro.
We really want to do that. Me and my mates want to do that. And it's just finding time because like I played Skyrim on virtual reality.
Yeah.
And you
You're
can't
talking about
see
where
shit.
you stand on the carpet.
No, I didn't play. I was just playing it with a control
Yeah.
pad, man.
You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know the one you're talking
Bro, I
about.
did it in France a few times.
Yeah.
There's one that was like a
And they have
Egyptian.
the haptic floors and stuff like that. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you
so
can
you
walk
just,
on it.
you just got your... No, it was just a blank room. And there's like, say, us three boys playing, and you got the carpet, and you just have the head things on. But, bro, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
it's insane, man. Like,
so you basically, there's one where you're going through, like, Egypt. It was like an Egyptian, like, pyramid thing, like an old thing. But we're like, you're a human... Like, it just fucking spins you out. There's
Yeah.
one in Fox Studios you can go to.
yeah, and there's
think Bondi Shops, there's
what's
a-
it called? Zombie Apocalypse one in Darling Harbour. You can go to.
Oh, is that where you got to shoot?
Yeah, you
I
gotta
played
actually
that.
shoot-
I played it in
shoot.
France, where they're all coming at you and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played it. Yeah. Through the old car yards and everything.
Yeah. I really want to do that too. It's just always finding time.
It is mad.
Yeah, it's the best way to play video games. When I played Skyrim, my son was watching it on the TV, and I had the headset on, couldn't see anything, and I turned and there's like a horse there, and I fully like.
It freaks you out of it. Turn around, it's just a big fucking...
like a horse's head in my face,
Yeah.
and my kid starts laughing at me. So it's good. But imagine sport like that. You watch sport. Because seriously, the 3D thing, when I watched that, it was really like I was sitting inside the field.
Yeah.
Like in a chair hovering over the field.
Yeah, right.
And it was like the best way I've ever watched sport.
Fuck, that'd be mad watching that.
But yeah, it's just the cameras. They don't want to pay
Okay.
for the cameras every
I'm
time.
going to start for you.
best.
New South Wales sides have won just, and this doesn't include one. So New South Wales sides have won just 2 of 13 series deciding
That's what I
games in
thought.
Queensland.
Yeah, see.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so they got to win.
Because this one was just
2 of 13, so that
Yeah,
makes it
yeah.
to 15, and then... What's the other half? So how many series? It's only been 30...
I've got it.
30
I've got that
years.
here. I've
Nah,
got
it's 40 years.
40
I've got,
years.
I've got some
Yeah.
numbers for you.
Started in 1980, right?
Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
been 42 full series of State of Origin. Queensland's won 24 of them. New South Wales has won 16 of them.
Series.
Yep, series with the remaining 2 being drawn. Of 123 State of Origin games played, Queensland's won 66 and New South Wales has won 55
That's
with
surprising.
2 games being drawn.
Yeah.
It's
They reckon
surprising.
points scored. It's like 1 point different. I heard a
Yeah.
stat the other day.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
it's
surprised.
So
just-
like on points, like tries, so like 110 and 109 or some shit.
Yeah,
It'd
yeah.
be more than that.
It's just
But-
mainly been since 2006, hasn't it?
Yeah,
If you looked at it
blowouts.
before then, it was literally just neck and
yeah,
neck.
I'd say it's evened out a bit.
Yeah, they had
From-
New South Wales had the 3 in a row, and New South Wales people were saying we don't need to do Origin anymore.
That's right, yeah.
And then Queensland started winning, and New South Wales was like, yeah, we really don't need to do Origin anymore.
Yeah, let's quit now.
Yeah. That was a bad time.
Ah, bruh.
Yeah, you know better
Okay.
than anyone.
I think
All
we
right.
might move on to the Ask Mitch Anything segment, John.
All right, so that was awesome. Thanks for that.
Perfect.
That's good
That was good,
so,
boys.
all right, we got a few questions, about 15 questions. Some of them are funny. So, Mitulala8857, great names on YouTube. So he's got 3 questions for you. Just wants to ask about the mental preparation for a regular game versus Origin or final series. What's the differences in your mental preparation?
Yeah, I think mentally you want your routines to be similar regardless where you're playing. I always got taught from an early age that the way you prepare gives you consistency, obviously. So if you're under a winning formula and you've got a visualization technique or you've got your things that you do around your kicking, regardless what you're playing, you want to keep it pretty similar. I think the only difference when you're going into a big game, it's easier to do those things because the adrenaline and getting yourself up motivated isn't an issue. It's actually about calming yourself and getting away from all the hype. So the only difference would probably be a bit more getting away from things and not trying to psych yourself up. Where in club games, sometimes when it's late in a season and you're looking for a bit of motivation, you might watch a little bit more video, or me personally watch a bit more video or motivation stuff to get me going. Big games, that's never an issue. But you want to recreate the same patterns regardless of your game, I think.
They're like treating every game as if it's another game.
Yeah, well, I think otherwise it brings on anxiety. It brings on, if you're changing your patterns of how you're going to prepare, that anxiety can affect your mood when you get into the game. So you want to stay as calm as you can and then just trust the process, which is easier said than done.
So another question from the same guy. How did you handle the criticisms of your position as a half to not give up and keep going? And how would somebody else handle it, do you think? He also said it's truly inspiring given what you had to go through in your career, and seeing your transformation was amazing. So how did you handle your criticisms?
Yeah, people ask me that a lot. I've always been pretty resilient with things. Like, I cared a bit what people thought when I was younger and all that sort of stuff. But once I started to play, I never really took in too much notice. Like, if I read all the stuff that people say after Origins and all that, I probably would have topped myself. But honestly, I didn't. I was pretty thick-skinned in that regard because I just knew it was a wasted energy. Like, I knew going into a big game and playing sport as a halfback, if I win, I'm going to get compliments. If I lose, you're going to get criticised. So I always knew what I needed to do, and it only cluttered my mind if I thought about external agendas. So I just focused on. I knew straight away after the whistle what I should have done better or what I needed to do, and what my teammates needed me to do, or good or bad. So I just tried to eliminate stuff, and I always got off on. Sounds really weird, but I got off on the negativity.
Yeah,
I used to fuel on it and just be like, you know what, life always moves forward. Another good game and I'm back, and I just use all that fuel to give me motivation in a sick way.
Yeah, I talk about it with sports, man. Like, all sports fans, rugby league more than ever, they have a 1 week memory.
Yeah,
like 1 week.
That's it. Someone said that to Jimmy Dimmick.
Yeah.
Who was my flag coach, and we had a pretty good year that year. But it must have been a bad game. I was a kid, and he come over and he said, 1 week in footy's a long time.
Yeah.
So it's the simplest thing I've ever heard, but it's so true. 1 week in footy's a long time. 1 week to the next, you can be a hero or a villain. So, I think if you're going to be any good at any sport, and you're going to embrace all of it. You can't just be happy to take the compliments or the good things and turn it back to reality of negativity. It's all part of it. You sign up for it, and you got to enjoy and relish all of it.
That's awesome. Okay. Oh shit. So same guy. Last question from Mitulala. How did your vision of the game develop in terms of game management as a half throughout your career? Because you had so many coaches and halves pairing combinations.
Yeah, game management is definitely a learned skill as you get older. Some guys have a more technical mind from a young age and can understand footy. I was always very curious ever since I was a kid. Now I'm going into the coaching space, seeing how younger players tick and all that type of stuff. I was just really curious. I latched onto a lot of my heroes when I was a kid and just really understood or tried to study their movements, and I was just fascinated with that stuff. I'm grateful that I had that curiosity because I think it fast-tracked my game and my skills. But I latched onto it. I used to watch hours of video of Joey and Lockyer and the foot they'd pass off or their decision-making. So I think that stuff subconsciously allows you to develop sort of skills. And then your coaches, there's so many different ways to play rugby league. And I learnt more of the game management stuff probably when Trent Robinson came. My early days was just all off instinct, and you're just going off your natural ability, and you're quite stubborn. And being a young kid, you want to throw the nice pass, and you want to do the mad step. That's the sort of approach to your footy. And then your coaches, like Robbo was a big influence. He came in and taught me a lot about the long game, building your sets, kicking the corners. You learn off you learn off your own experiences, and then you learn off your coaching systems. I think systems and the people you're around as a young half is the biggest growth. Like, if you get the wrong type of coaching and you're not in a system where you're taught those really nitty-gritty things, I think it can stall your growth. You look at Melbourne, like those guys, obviously, the pinnacle, the best we've seen at game managing, Cam Smith, Cooper Cronk, these guys, and imagine being in that environment when you got Bellamy who drove it as the coach, and then you got the best players in that spine area constantly talking about how to manage a game, and they were good enough to do that. That's why they were the best. But I'm just saying that the culture, the players, imagine being a younger guy coming through in that environment and being able to learn it compared to maybe another side that we see lower down the ladder.
Like the Tigers. You didn't
So
say
that's.
it,
So I think
said
that
it.
to answer your question, I think that's your development of game management, and that comes from yourself being curious, learning, and then also experience, and then the people you're around.
This is not one of the questions I've asked, but actually just further to that, do you think that's one of the reasons why you have those systems? Like, everyone goes from Melbourne, they go through the system and they go to other teams and they're still amazing. Why do you think it's that they can't filter that kind of systems down through their other teams?
Coaches.
Well, the coaches and the players.
Players.
Like you go have a young guy that comes up through with Cameron Smith, Billy Slater, Craig Bellamy, and then goes to another team that's supposed to get better, and that team continues to be.
The systems. It's. I think the system comes from the coach. The coach at the end of the day, and the club has to drive the way you want to play. Like if you're a defensive coach and you got to have personnel first and foremost. Like you need to have the players to be able to utilise and to be able to do what the coach wants. But I think the coach drives the defensive systems. He drives the way the style is going to be played. He coaches that day in, day out. He educates players on that day in, day out. So I think that's why you see these better systems run like that. And it's hard. Sometimes you said, why do some players go to other systems and try and drive it? It's bigger than one player with that, I think. It's one of those questions I'm sure every team down the bottom of the ladder is scratching their head going, how do we get like them?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it comes from the coach and the playing group.
Yeah.
You got to have the right players to execute what the coach wants, but the coach at the end of the day drives the style he wants from his team.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. So this is, everybody asks this. Marie Chucky Lee's on Instagram. She asked it the nicest. How filthy were you when we let you go? She's a Roosters fan. We let you go to Newey so we could bring Cronk in. How filthy were you when we let you go to Newey so we could bring Cronk in?
At the time, I was disappointed, but honestly, I've said it 100 times now since I've been retired. It's just part of footy, isn't it? I was only probably disappointed and a bit more emotional too because I've been there a long time. These things happen all the time at clubs. And they brought in an absolute champion and won 2 competitions. So, like I said, at the time where I was at, the headspace I was in, and being at the one club for a long time, it hurt, but life goes on. Imagine I was still bitter now.
Yeah. Some people are, man. Some people are bitter about stuff long after they retire, and it's like
They are, aren't they?
All sport is a business. That's what people need to understand. If you want your sport to be professional, it needs to be a business.
Yeah.
And there needs to be some business-minded people from the club making decisions to improve the team and stuff. And that's what, if you can't understand that, imagine you were still bitter now and you're holding on to that. Never progress in life if you're like that, man. Daryl McEwen on Instagram, when you were in the UK, did you consider a return to the NRL, or was that just the media talking?
There was an option to come back. There was talk about going back to the Roosters potentially, just off the bench and doing being a sort of older guy coming back. There was the Tigers reached out, which was genuine. Which was, when I was over there, you got to understand you're over 24 hours away in a pretty relaxed place and not watching a whole lot of NRL. So when you do get a club sort of reach out, it is quite a good feeling.
Flattering.
Especially when you're older and you're going, so I definitely investigated it, but...
And you even had it this year with Parramatta reaching out when Moses went down and just...
They've all got something wrong with them, these people. Trying to go after me. But yeah, I think, look, it's flattering at that age, but yeah, my heart and my body was just getting a bit slower and... Not my heart, hopefully that's still fast. But yeah, everything was just slowing down a bit and I knew it was the end. And to go through it, the thing with NRL is it's so hard. Like, it's not just the games on the weekend, it's pre-season, it's just it's a full lifestyle, and I'd been doing it a long time and I was ready for something new.
Okay. Ben Costandi on Instagram, I like this question. What's the weirdest thing that happened when you played Origin off and on the field?
You got me off guard. I need to think. The weirdest thing. Talk about weirdness. We used to have some loose nights early days especially when Ricky Stewart was coach. I'm not going to say one specific thing that was weird, but we used to have big nights, like 2. It wasn't like the old school where it was like early 90s, late 90s, where it was like 3-day benders, but we were 2-day benders.
Because you got that 10-day.
Mate, it was the best. Like, imagine me, I was always a bit loose. I'd come into Origin in 2021.
Yeah.
Sticky was the man. Like, I love Sticky, and he was the best at galvanising a group. But you didn't even really talk about... Actually, we probably did a session after the first night drink, but it was like a light walkthrough, hung as fuck. And then he'd be straight back to a long lunch into the piss. Like, so it's not weird, it was fun. But yeah, they were good memories. And then after about 4 days later, you're like, oh fuck, I gotta play.
You got a 10-day camp, you can get away with the first 3 days on the drink. Yeah.
It was just, it was good, and all the boys would be in there, and it's, around all old teammates that you played with before and new guys. It was always a good time. And on the field, weirdest thing. Fuck, there'd be plenty. I'm just trying to think. Got me off guard a bit.
I should have sent them to you before.
What was a weird one was in one of the series when there was the guy, you probably remember the nudie, he'd done a nudie.
Oh, yeah, and he interfered with the play, yeah?
And he interfered with the play.
That's right.
Fuck that guy.
There would have been weirder stuff, but I'm just trying to think. That was one that comes to mind off the cuff.
Yeah, that's fully.
I remember we were losing too, which happened a lot, but I remember we were losing, and when he ran on, it just... Like, it would have been funny or something when it was like 2 minutes to go and we were about to lose. I was like, hey, this is making my mood. You're not helping my mood right now.
Was he interfered with who was the play? He interfered with someone. Was it Brett Hodgson? I can't remember. He interfered with someone and they had to reset the play, and I think Queensland scored.
They did, yeah.
Nude guy. Ben from Melbourne. This is actually one of the guys in my tipping comp. He said, "How did leadership in the NRL transfer to post NRL life, and what about the NRL helped? What doesn't translate from the NRL into real life?"
That's a good question. I think I'm obviously only just transitioning, so I can't sit here and say I'm some mad leader in business, but the qualities that you learn that I've noticed straight away that when you get out is the ability to be disciplined and have a routine. Playing for such a long time, you've got an ability to think, to sacrifice short term to get long term gains, and that might sound. I thought everyone was like that, and then I think I've realised it's a great strength to have that.
Definitely.
And that's something that's a leadership skill, I think, and that's something that can transfer into anything you do. Having short-term sacrifice to see a goal that's down the track, and your whole football career is built on that. You're always sacrificing the now to get reward, not only for this week's game, 3 months' game. You're actually sacrificing for 5 years. You're thinking long-term. I think if you have that mentality in anything you do, you're setting a good example, and things happen for you. And I realised when you take footy out to rebuild your career or you're starting from the ground again, usually, or you're building you're not the top dog. You're coming back to starting things again in your chosen field, and you got to have that same mentality. And the things that I think footy suffocates you with is it's such a small world that you think is the only thing that matters, and it's such a great thing, and it's so much things that can come off it from an outsider footy point of view with the influence you have on people. And the profile, obviously, that footy creates in Australia especially, but I think it can create... If I played with a mentality now I'm finished, I wouldn't have cared about things as much. So I think it can be very... It can narrow your focus to think that it's the only thing in the world that matters. Maybe that was just the way I approached it, because I grew up around footy, but I think it's similar for a lot of players.
I think so.
I think that could be negative because it can just restrict reality sometimes with other things that are going on in the world.
And
you know what I mean?
You mentioned you were on NRL 360 last night, so you've been on Fox. I think you're doing Triple M as well.
Yep.
You're doing some stuff for us as well at SmartB. How have you found that transition to the media so far?
No, I'm enjoying it. Media wasn't something I finished and went, I'm going to go straight into it, but I like the platform of being able to... my bigger purpose is about being of service now, and I'm working on a bit of a program around schools and stuff like that, around good positives and negatives and resilience, and trying to do good deeds for the community, and that's a passion for me. So staying involved with footy and speaking. I love sitting here talking to you boys about footy. I love footy. It's good to talk about sport. I love going on Triple M and giving back to the game and talking about it.
Yeah.
It's a good platform also to to tell your truth and speak what you feel. So it wasn't media, it wasn't something I always wanted to do, but it's being involved and staying involved is great. So yeah, I've got, like I said, I've got a couple other visions too, to do some stuff in schools, and I like the coaching thing, staying involved with coaching, helping the younger boys.
Awesome.
Sorry. So Seth, who you sent a video to last time, he loved it, by the way. He said he's got some great questions. He's a massive Roosters fan. Okay,
Yeah.
so Craig Fitzgibbon was always his favourite player, but you were also one of his top players. So he said, what was going through your head when Benji decided to throw down with you in the quarterfinal in 2010? I had to look this up, man. I was like, what?
I went alright. I got tackled, but
yeah. Well, no, it was
he just whacked me, didn't he?
He got the penalty against him because he punched off.
Yeah, well, we got the. So they scored.
You got the penalty.
Ella scored, and then
it got reversed to
yeah, that was funny. I had a couple of fights in like junior footy and all that sort of stuff. I wasn't a mad fighter, but you have a few here and there. But yeah, that was my first one in NRL, so it was pretty funny. But yeah, I just sort of grabbed Benji. I held him down. He made a line break, and I held him down a bit, and then we got up and pushed a bit, and he just hit me.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen now, does it?
No.
The rule changed, but it was a bit old school. He just sort of whacked me, so I went, it's on. But I didn't go real good. I threw a couple, he threw a couple, and then I got tackled.
I thought you did pretty good. I was watching it yesterday.
My first right was decent.
Yeah.
I went to go again, we both missed, and then I got tackled. So
That's, man, most of the fights in rugby league are like that. Seriously.
you got to go quick.
Yeah, because Eric Growth on Justin Hodges is probably the best example of where Eric Growth just went real quick. It was in
He was
Origin.
feeling good, Guru.
Yeah, like he knew he had to be quick, and he just pumped Justin Hodges with like 5 or 6 quick punches.
The best fight in Origin ever was that one with Hopper and all them, where they all spread out.
Oh, yeah.
David Barnhill.
I think that was like 95,
Mate, that was
Split off
hectic.
into
so
groups.
good.
Because it was never like, ice hockey. Ice hockey actually, in the rules, it has, if it's just one-on-one, the referee has to let them go.
Yeah.
So
It's
rugby
until
league
they hit
is-
the ground.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, until they hit the
ice,
ground, because
And that's the
dangerous.
thing, the crowd loved it.
Yeah.
The crowd loved a biff,
So it's like rugby league, everyone had come in. So
It changed the whole dynamics of footy, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like when there's that fear of a fight and all that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Just-
Like, you have guys like, what was it, Reed Barney got the whole thing the other day where someone headbutt him or something because he's like just chirping all the time, and they said like he's little and he has no fear of getting punched, so he can just say whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, he had that blow up.
Playing Steve Roach back in the 80s, just bang.
Yeah, exactly. So then I like this as well. What team did you hate playing and or losing to the most? And he said it's okay to say the Roosters.
Early days, I hated playing Melbourne.
Yeah.
I loved the chapter. Once I found my groove and a couple of years in, we had really good teams. I used to love playing them. But it was an Olympic stadium they used to have down there. With the running track around it.
Yeah.
Man, that was like, I remember my first couple of experiences playing there. It was wet. And man, they had like all the best, like Joey, Cooper, GI, all of them. Like, and they were that good. And we got beat by about 50 a couple of times. That was when
they had the
That was
Fortress,
when they were
though.
about $1 million
The
over
Fortress.
the cap.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, it was like, just get me off this field. Like,
Yeah,
they
they
were
had the
pumping
short
us.
They had the short
Short in
Yeah, the
goals.
short
Yeah.
goals.
So like as a young half, trying to put the grubbers in with kick pressure, like it was just honestly, I remember going there, I was like, this is horrible. But then I used to love playing Melbourne because we used to get the sort of even wins against us and them majority of during the seasons, and we had when we were both sort of first and second. So I used to love the challenges, but it was just those early couple when I used to play them down there. I used to hate it.
Yeah, that was the rumor of when they were building the football stadium down there. Melbourne wanted to keep the in goals short.
Yeah,
That was one of the media.
nothing worse than short in goals. Like
You played in the Super League. They all have short in goals.
We just end up having to run the ball. It's not worth it. So risky. Like it's just, especially in England too, because you got the wet track and it's dewy, usually windy. It's very very hard to nail those kicks.
A lot of teams just won't kick on the last now for fear of giving away the 7 tackle set.
Yeah.
Imagine how much worse it would be if the in goals were smaller.
Yeah.
No teams would ever kick on the last.
I don't like watching that now with the running on the last all the time.
No,
No, because it discourages attacking play.
it's boring.
Yeah, it is boring, isn't it? You just go down and then just choke the fuck out of the defence the next play, the attack the next play. So.
So Seth also said, you don't have to answer this one, but if you want to talk shit about someone, was there a player that you didn't like?
Nah. Maybe. Say it.
You tell us off air. And then finally from Seth, is there any ambitions to become a head coach?
Nah, no ambition for that. I like the coaching. I'm doing the academy stuff. It's like I just spoke about before about short-term gain, short-term sacrifice, long-term gain. It's like anything. If you want to be good at something, I'd back myself. I could do a good job as an assistant coach, possibly down the track. I feel like I've got a lot to offer, but at the moment, just freshly retired, I'm enjoying just the academy type of stuff. I think the thing when you go out of footy, you don't know if you really, really miss it and want that full responsibility for a few years. Once you're out of it and you get that hunger back. But at the moment, when you're freshly retired, going into one of those stressful jobs as a coach would be like a full-time coach. I couldn't think anything worse.
I always think like the worst time to become a coach is the ones that become coaches when they're freshly retired and then have to coach the players they played with.
Yeah.
You know, like Brad Fittler had to coach players that he played with, and not Ricky Stewart. Trent Barrett, I think, had to coach players he played with and stuff, and that would have been
Nathan Brown.
Yeah, Brownie did. Yeah, that was like it would have been a hard thing to do.
I think Nathan Brown was a first grade coach when he was 29 or something like that. I don't think.
Yeah, he had to retire.
He had to retire, and he wasn't even 30,
scary,
and he was a first grade coach.
I have that newspaper stored. You know, the back page. It's like got a obituary of my best mate in it, and it also like that's the thing with on the back.
Is that when he slapped Baz?
No, when he did his neck.
Oh, when he did his neck.
Yeah. When he slapped Baz was hilarious. Yeah. I have that video saved on my phone. And I send it to people and go, I'll do this to you if you shut up.
If you slap you.
So Nathan31 on Instagram, he actually sent this in last night. Did you regret leaving the Knights, Mitchell? Did you regret joining the Knights in the first place? From a huge Knights fan, thanks for your service at the club.
No, I don't regret leaving. I don't regret anything in life, eh? Like, sounds a bit dead.
You don't get it over, do you? What's done is done,
mate, it all snowballs and then leads you to different directions without trying to be a weird, deep hippie. But it does. It leads you to all different directions. So, like I always say to people, if we made a decision after this about something, it's how you're feeling at the time.
Yeah. So
that's where I was at the time, and I went up there, and there was great things out of Newcastle. I had really good fun there, like football-wise. It was enjoyable. It was a different experience, rebuilding. Then I had some success there a little bit at the start, getting the boys into the finals. The town itself, I was grateful that I got to appreciate Newcastle. Like, there's no better place to play than, I think we spoke about it last time on here, there's no better place to play than the atmosphere that you get there. And so, I loved it. It was good.
Oh, there you go, Nathan31. He loved it. And we got like 20 people messaging seriously. Like, who's your tip for Origin 1 and by how much?
Origin 1, I reckon New South Wales will win. It's hard for Queensland to win here. I reckon. I think it'll be a close game. Maybe if we were to win, I reckon maybe 10 points.
I
might skip away late.
Yeah, I was just going to add in. Why do you think New South Wales will win?
I think on paper, like there's question marks. Everyone's saying, new halves, and obviously we just spoke about Cherry's ability with his experience. But I think we've got a good side. Like we've got big outside backs. I think man for man we're just as good. I think Nico will do a really good job, and if we win the ruck and our defence is good, I think we've got enough. Yeah, people keep talking about their points being more than us. I still think we've got a lot of points in us.
I think so. I think even the mobile forwards they can score for New South Wales.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know who I'm tipping though. I'll wait until
I'll back New South Wales at home.
Awesome. So that's all the questions. Just a couple of comments from people as well who wanted me to read. So that Mitchell Lala guy, he's a massive fan of yours. He actually sent in like 20 questions, but we had to just skim it down a bit. Otherwise, being here for 2 hours. He just said, Pearcey, you're my hero, and I followed every game you've played, seen every interview, and also supported you, even when you changed teams and had setbacks.
Well, that's a real fan.
Legend.
Lots of fans like me believed in you, and your career was a roller coaster, but definitely worth it all to see how far you've come and grown. Congratulations. Looking forward to what you do next. Thanks for the memories, legend. Great podcast with Todd Carney, and good to see you on some footy shows on Fox. If you make a halves academy, it'll be awesome. It'll be great, I'm sure. Always just supporter. You're a champion, awesome human being. Never forget.
What a legend. What's his name?
Mitchell Lala.
Thank you, brother.
And then from Seth, Even though, so Pearcey actually sent Seth, my mate, flower scientist, a great video where he told him to fuck off at my request, which Seth loves. But he said, on a personal note, I was stoked for you finally being in a winning State of Origin series, and fuck the haters, bro.
Good on you. Thank you, Seth.
So yeah, there you go. That's it for the Mitchell Pearce State of Origin preview and Ask Me Anything. Thanks for coming, man.
Legend, boys. Good man.
Thanks for coming in again, Mitch.
Boys. Good on you.
See ya.
Don't forget to follow @SmartB up on all social medias and subscribe to the newsletter.